Here's what you should know about your local housing market in this week's Market Update. We're now in the middle of August and it definitely feels like a summer housing market right now. My buyer and seller activity has certainly quieted down. Getting a hold of people and getting these transactions done is ever so challenging as lots of people are on vacation at any given time. And my wise sellers, we're starting to chat and plan for these homes that are coming on the market just after Labor Day for the fall market, as they should, because the timing is such that if we want to hit that fall market, now is the time to start having that conversation and putting a timeline and plan into place. So that being said, let's get into the stats this week and see how that corroborates with what I'm seeing on the front lines. So this week we're looking at stats for Morristown, Chatham, Madison, Harding, Morris Plains, Mendham, Chester, Bernardsville, Basking Ridge, and Randolph. So this past week we saw 48 homes come on the market. That's a 37% increase over last week, which is surprising, especially given the time of year. Although we did have very few homes come on the market last week. But then when we look town by town, actually, we see a big divide. So it is slightly skewed. Most of the towns we're looking at saw actually a decrease in homes coming on the market, which is not surprising. But in the ones we saw homes on the market increase was substantial. So Morristown and Township, we saw a 200% increase over last week. Morris Plains, a 600% increase over last week. And then Chatham, 33%, Basking Ridge, 20%. So the rest of them, we saw actually a pretty good dip in the number of new homes coming on the market. So I think we saw, for some reason, in Morris Plains and Morristown and Township, such a substantial increase over last week that kind of counteracted the normal decrease for this time of year. So out of these houses, 30 of them were single-family houses, 18 of them were condos or townhouses. The average list price of these homes was $1,230,000. Total inventory once again remains at 265 homes actively on the market. So that has been the exact same number. Well, actually, one more home on the market this week than last week, but 0% increase in homes on the market in total inventory for the last few weeks now. So while we're seeing homes come on the market, homes sell, we're not seeing any big relief currently in total active inventory. Total homes sold this past week. We saw a slight dip from the prior week. Once again, August, we typically see a fair amount of closings, especially more towards the first half of August. That busy spring market that most consumers are aware of. Most of those deals close in August. So we saw 44 homes sell this past week. It's a 2% decrease over the prior week. Out of these, the average list price of these homes was $1,048,000, and the average sale price was $1,113,000. This past week, the homes that sold for an average of 6.3% above the list price. And now, when we break it down town by town, every single town had homes sell above the list price, and most of them substantially above list price. So at the lowest, we saw Randolph, where homes sold at 1.5% above list price. Morristown and Township, 2.2% above list price. Chester, 4.5% above list price. Mendham, 6.5% above list price. Morris Plains, 8% above list price. Chatham, 10% above list price. Basking Ridge, 6% above list price. Harding, 7% above list price. And Madison, 11.4% above list price. So we're seeing pretty strong numbers from the spring. Also not surprising because these closings we're seeing now probably a little bit later in the spring, where we did see what we saw maybe early spring, a little bit of a slight dip in bidding wars. It seemed to jump back up pretty quickly as we got towards the end of spring. Average days on market for the homes sold was 21 days on the market, which is 21% less than the prior week. Under contract, once again, under contract, our most current data, but our least complete data. These are the deals that happened this past week, but will not be closing for likely another 2 to 3 months. Under contract homes, this past week we saw 30 homes go under contract. That's a 17% decrease from the prior week. An average list price of these homes, $969,000. That's 15% less than last week. And the average days on market this past week was 36 days on the market, which was a significant increase, 61% over the prior week. So once again, late August, we're seeing that summer slowdown. Everybody's on vacation, it seems like, at least. Getting a hold of people, getting things done is very tricky as people are in vacation mode. Lots of people going to the beach. But that being said, if you are planning to make a move this fall, now is the time to start that conversation. There's some planning, some timing to put into place. Also, we've got a few, our staff and vendors on vacation as well. So we want to make sure that we're able to time that prep appropriately to get your home on the market and take full advantage of the fall market. So thanks so much for checking in with me. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll catch you again next week.